Citing crackdowns on public protests, the discovery of secret prisons, and violence against girls and women, Human Rights Watch says Iraq is sliding back toward authoritarian rule. It is all in the group's annual report released today. Frederick Pleitgen has the details live for us from CNN Baghdad. Frederick, such a disturbing report coming out.
Well, it certainly is a disturbing report, and one of the things that Human Rights Watch, when we talked to them, Natalie, made clear is that the situation is truly deteriorating compared to when they did these exact same report about a year ago, especially considering the crackdown on protesters, things like jailing activists, torture also in those secret detention facilities, and as well harassing journalists. They say a lot of that has really accelerated over this past year. As you mentioned, Human Rights Watch also saying that they discovered several secret detention facilities that were run by security forces controlled by Iraq's Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. They say at these detention facilities, people were being tortured with impunity. So clearly something that did more than raise eyebrows at Human Rights Watch. Let's listen in to what the local head of Human Rights Watch here in Iraq had to say about this.
Security forces that engage in abuses need to be held to account. They need to be tried, they need to be investigated, they need to be prosecuted. There needs to be a message from the top that these abuses will no longer be tolerated. There has to be an acceptance by the Iraqi government that these are routine violations that are happening. It's not a one-off thing that's happening depending on the commander in charge that day or based on the specific security personnel at Tahrir Square or elsewhere. This is unfortunately a routine practice that's going on, and really there needs to be a strong emphasis from the government that they won't tolerate these type of abuses anymore.
So this was an important point that Human Rights Watch wanted to make, is that this is not something that is a one-off thing, not something that is done by rogue commanders on the ground, if you will, but something that is endemic in the security forces that, of course, are controlled by Iraq's Prime Minister. The Iraqi government, for their part, Natalie, is saying that they are, of course, still facing a major terrorism threat here in this country, that the detentions that have been going on are in line with Iraq's constitution, that all of this is going according to the judicial process. Certainly, Human Rights Watch doesn't believe that. A lot of opposition figures and even members of the bloc that's supposed to be in a coalition with Nouri al-Maliki's bloc here, and the Iraqi government does not believe that either, Natalie.
And what does Human Rights Watch say about the growth of these abuses, perhaps since the U.S. military pulled out of there?
Well, it certainly seems to be growing, especially since the U.S. military has pulled out here of this country. Of course, the report that's in question right now is one that was issued for the year 2011. However, Human Rights Watch is also saying that the abuses are still taking place and are, in fact, getting bigger. One of the things, of course, is the crackdown on protesters, which is something that CNN crews have seen on the ground in Baghdad as well, where protesters were beaten. People were prevented from actually getting to protest. And you'll have something like a protest in central Baghdad where maybe 20 people will show up, but then you'll have about 300 security forces there trying to prevent them from conducting these protests. So certainly this is something that is still going on. And one of the things that even the Iraqi bloc, which is supposed to be in a coalition with Nouri al-Maliki's bloc, is saying is that they believe there are serious sectarian undertones to what they say is a power grab by Iraq's Prime Minister, Natalie.
Frederick Pleitgen for us there in Iraq on the Human Rights Watch report. Frederick, thanks so much.